I think we can start now. And today I would like to introduce the Java framework or evolution of concurrency and parallel APIs. And basically the same features or technologies also comes to other programming languages, for example, for .NET or Abadiana. And for C# or other languages also there is some similar or same technologies introduced also during this period of history of evolution of concurrency and parallelism APIs. And because I picked for this course Java, I'm just would like today just introduce that history table, and after this I'm just would like to show the first example, which is also added here as exhibit services. And I make the different like product service, so it doesn't matter really, just similar or same app but different names or variables and services. And basically what you need to know about that parallel or evolution of concurrency, that in Java first version, it's 1996, it was introduced the threads API. I will explain later, like during the next lectures, about the threads API, that what it's for, what they do, and how it works, etc. Basically, it creates virtual processors instead of have some physical devices. Be able to create some virtual processors, for example. And each processor, of course, have own memory or stack. And for that reason, you need to control, of course, as the same as a normal physical hardware processors, able to create virtual processors and to create separate threads. Basically, each program, when you start using, doesn't matter when you're using, have some separate threads, like in, for example, in Word program, you're writing the text, and also you just hitting the button print some stuff, print your text, and during the printing you're able to making some other text input, or just save it, or doing some other tasks during that phase. And in operating system, how it works, I will explain later. How it works when you have the single core systems and multi-core systems, and how when they introduced also some hyper threading or some stuff, we also see that next lecture. And basically today I'm talking about all those 5 tasks for your main goal to accomplish this course. And when the Java 5 is come, they also introduced the from low level API. They introduce some different approach how to work in parallel way or using the threads, because it's really hard to manage how many threads you need, when to wait, when to fix the problems like deadlocks or some different problems, issues that will face when you're working with low-level API, which is called Threads API. And they introduce some fixes or some modern stuff like thread pool, executor service, futures, concurrent collections, etc. Like in Java 5 was introduced. After this, they released new version Java 7th, And they decided, oh, we need just task-based parallelism. Like you have some tasks and you just give those tasks, or I don't know how, feed those tasks to some framework, and this framework manage your tasks like in parallel way. And fork join, basically it's working like you have forks, so you have tasks, and you joining later those stuff to some result when you complete those small pieces of tasks. And fork join is introduced in Java 7th version. It's also something new and fresh with parallel or concurrency APIs. And of course, after this, there is some problems with, for example, futures API or library, which is not so flexible. There is some problems, and there is there is some issues with functions, and they introduced new stuff in Java 8th version, because before in parallel thinking and sequence like yeah, sequential code and parallel code was like different, like a nightmare. Like you doesn't have the really similarity or similar code when you're writing in parallel way and when you're writing in sequential code. And for that reason, you will face a lot of problems when you um, would like to write a parallel code. You just facing a lot of issues, problems, bugs, and etc. They introduced the parallel streams as a functional thinking, and instead of different approach to solving those problems, they introduce parallel streams, which is really same as um, sequential code. And now you're able to write and pick, like you need parallel stream or parallel collection of data. Of course, parallel streams, it's more oriented when you don't need to change it. Order or order is not important, or some other stuff. It's really depends on that type of data, because you're not able to use parallel streams as normal threads API when you need to combine that result or have some order or some stuff. And basically that threads API also still used in some library architecture, or some in background you will always find that threads API. And basically, if you're using that features or other stuff, you also use the spreads API. It's in background of those frameworks or libraries. And completable features basically is JavaScript analogy is promises. And Java introduced in Java 8 promises based async programming. And basically all that programming, it's from the beginning it was async programming, but it's not called that much from beginning, because at the start maybe it was concurrent parallel code or something like this. After this they introduced the async keyword, and now you see everywhere like async programming and etc. Basically it's all technique, but like a lot of books maybe appears only after some decade or like that. And in Java 9 also they introduced Flow API, but I'm not give for your tasks. We just look a bit to it, and Flow API is oriented to reactive programming. And reactive programming is not new technique. Not very maybe new, but just That new API lets you to write reactive code, and basically nowadays it's really needed to have that um, live code. I don't know, just pumping some data to somewhere, and you have a lot of data, or just need to have some streams, huge streams, and etc. Like, and as you see here down below, single core was till Java 5th version. Basically, Threads API, as you see, you're able to have single core CPU, and in that single core CPU, you using Threads API, which is creating virtual processors. Basically, you're creating more instances, virtual instances, like virtual processors. And after this, when multi-core it's come to our stores and etc., they introduced some stuff which is working with multi-core systems. And multi-core systems, of course, need to have some thread pool. For example, if I have thread pool created for that many cores, that how many your system have, for example. And you don't need to count how many threads you needed, because sometimes it's not so lightweight, but threads it's more lightweight than other techniques. And multi-core, of course, work in those all other frameworks, which has come later. And basically, of course, if you need to calculate some input-output, huge load operations, of course, you win if you have computer with multiple CPUs. But it's most expensive stuff in nowadays, and in I don't know, and 10 years or 20 years ago, it was also too expensive to use multi instances, multi CPUs machines to make some calculations. Instead of that, they make multi-core systems to save money for calculations, for example. And there is a lot of different CPUs, of course, but basically all do the same task, all have the same stuff inside. And about this we talk next lecture. And now we look to the Java code, and we write some code, for example, for your first task, because I say that I show how to make those tasks. And for first task, for example, we need to create freely chosen topic. And for example, we have some Amazon, or doesn't matter, any e-shop platform online. And some platforms nowadays doesn't use the monolithic approach, like monolithic apps, when you have you have single team and you work on single project. Instead of this, you're able to have some other teams which is working with different projects and would like to write own like functionality. For example, login servers or authentication servers, or some product info service, and rating service, and etc. And I choose the IntelliJ Ultimate version, and just creating from scratch using this structure, generic fundamentals, and try to create your task one for today. we creating our new project, and when you're choosing here, basically you enough to pick the project Java. You don't need to pick any Maven or Gradle if you don't use it any dependencies. But if you decide to use some dependencies, I recommend to use any of that Maven or Gradle build tool, which helps you to manage dependencies if you would like to connect a database or do some stuff, other stuff. And yeah, basically I maybe create a Gradle project. And here we just show a if .lt, and our name will be that threads starter. Finish this, and when we creating project, if you're creating the Gradle script, Gradle project, you will get the build.gradle script file. Update. Okay, I need to update first. And after update, I will start writing some code. I start.
I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need to use Google, like this course, to finish our tasks, or just enough like console application?
Ah, good. I don't know. It depends on you. If you don't need it, UI, you just ignore this. Basically, you can create simple UI for, I don't know, just first, I think you need to decide which topic you're creating and what you need to do inside this app.
Okay, because as much as I said, I watched a video yesterday about Java. It was like too hard to make the UI in Java. Like you need to write a lot of things to just create a simple form.
Mm-hmm. It's yeah, but if you're writing the code, but it's not really hard to create some stuff. Uh, I don't know, just to create simple form. It's not that hard because there is some swing that old school library. And of course, if you would like to use the modern language, modern library, I suggest to use JavaFX. JavaFX. Uh, and here you're able to download this app. But maybe I'm next lecture show about JavaFX also.
Okay, because like yesterday I was using Swing,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to write like everything. Like if I need label, I need to import it, or just I can import all like strings all, and I need to use button, label, and everything. I need just write hard to code everything, like not hard to code. Like I need to type down everything, not like in Java in C#, just drag and pull.
No, but here there is exist some form if you need it here, but here it's for me it's strange when you're creating new how it's called. Wait, I need to enter alt 1. Drag and drop, yeah, is the easiest way, but when you need some layouts, it's really hard to make drag and drop like you see in C#. It's sometimes you need dynamic generated stuff, and when you drag and drop, it's not dynamic. And basically, you're able to create new. What is the form? Driver, diagram, resource, swing, UI designer, UI form. But here, basically, the problem is that there is some layouts only. border layout, card layout, flow layout, form layout, grid bag layout, grid layout. You need to pick which layout used for your form, for example. This is a good practice for this because you should use some layouts, because without layouts, like you say in C#, you're creating not responsive or not that responsive code. And here you need to read about how it works. Basically, you're able to use Grid Layout Manager. Form name like GUI. And when you have like this, you're creating like text area, for example. I don't know, is it possible to drag it? For me, this designer is really strange because you're working with grid, but able to pick different layouts because you need to use layouts. And here, basically, you're creating your own UI using that tool. It's like the drag and drop, as you see. In NetBeans, it's really easier to drag and drop using, because here it's layout. And in layout, you need to think a lot where to put which field you should put. And I never used this designer to create some form like here. But you're able to use using this one, and later to run this, you will get some properties, and you're able to do that stuff.
I don't know. I was using JFrame, and it was it wasn't that difficult.
Yeah,
It wasn't a layout. It was an absolute layout. You can resize. You can place anything anywhere you want. Maybe just because it is my first time to work with Java and I see this layout. So no. You are not using the correct layout. What are you using? What? Swift? Swing. Use FX. I can even show you my code right now. You can use Google script. Let me check. I was creating the. It's very easy, drag and drop. Java text scene builder.
yeah, scene builder. I open here. Yeah, but here you need to use MVC like structure. Okay, ignore now. Yeah, here you're able to create any type of program. And here like button, as you see. But here is a bit different. Yeah, it's easy, and why it's not dragging here. Okay, button and etc. And you're able to view your like preview and see result, for example, button, etc. Yeah, it's really too easy to make that UI here. And later we're able to introduce that code, like adding IDs and adding actions if you need it here. Like creating methods, creating methods, for example, on action, and then you click show skeleton controller, and you just copy this class and paste it to your project. Of course, later you need to place that XML file also to the same project, to resources catalog, and I think that you would like to see today or later this.
Maybe later, because like I don't want to consume other student time. So maybe later, or just maybe I can just show you after the lecture. Yeah, maybe I was doing. Maybe then Alex can show you how he was doing it. And you can choose the easier one. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, not a big problem. Maybe I today if skip this, and next week maybe just 20 minutes I show you, or during the practice, I will show you how to work with that Java fix, how to create a project.
Yeah. No problem. So you can just make, if I would like to make more research to understand, because like first time to work with Java, it's not as easy.
Yeah, of course. I think that it's not so easy. And because there is a lot, basically, if you think that before, I don't know how many, like 20, maybe 20 years ago or 15 years ago, it was more oriented just you're able to create applets and you're able to use those applets inside a browser, for example, to use that UI embedded to browser, for example. And it was some kind of UI using here, or there is a lot of programs which is using the Java to create, because you're able to create a Java once and run in any platform, for example, which is have Java support, Java runtime library. And for that reason, Java have some good stuff to create that. And after a lot of years, of course, web APIs comes to our world, and now instead maybe Java desktop apps, some creating using that Electron.js or some JavaScript tools instead of Java. And yeah, now it's maybe it's not so, there is not so much love to those UI designers or some tools like. And of course, instead of Java Swing or AVT, better one is Eclipse SVT, standard widget. Forget is standard widget. I forget how it calls it. Just some library simple similar to Java AVT, but have some components, more components, and you don't need to use separate product like scene builder outside, like, because here it's more oriented to MVC, and here you're able to create Java code, then you're creating some view. Here basically it's creating on XML file, fxml file, and after this you need controller to control this view. And sometimes it's not so easy to use it, because in Java 7 version added that Java fixed by the default tool or Java development kit library component. Its default library was Java fix from 7 version, and from 11 version they removed that from Java standard or Java JDK. Just they remove it again. Before Java 7 there is no Java fix. It was like separate library, and now it's also the separate library if using later versions like Java 12 or later versions. And of course now exists some Gradle plugins able to download this stuff and use it, Java fix in Gradle systems. And you need some configuration to use a Java fix. It's not that easy because it's separate product. Oh, Swing is default by default is default UI library. And when you say to hard code, it's not really too hard to write that code. I don't think that is so hard. Of course, if you would like to make some backgrounds, adding some images, maybe it makes more complexity instead of graphical designer.
I think the difficult part is sizing it correctly and placing it correctly. So yeah, this is the main problem, to put stuff where exactly where you want, and to manage like the margin and padding and so on, and width, height. So not this easy because you need to write code after check if it's correct or not. After this, update your code and see it again and so on.
Yeah, maybe it's a problem, but basically, when you're creating, doesn't matter if you're creating the game, for example. You also need to know that in our world exists a lot of different machines, like different screens, resolutions, and etc. And for that reason, of course, you need to write a hard code to try to work in all platforms and etc. It's not that easy to make that UI like when nowadays we picking any JavaScript framework and CSS framework also adding Bootstrap, or doesn't matter which one, you will get all automatically resizing and etc. like responsive design.
Responsive design.
Yeah, it's when you web browser using web browsers. Yeah. For that reason, I think that that's why some platforms moving to that because you're able to have responsive design, and you don't need to make hard part of work because it's easier when you have web platform and writing in JavaScript and using, for example, JavaScript libraries or CSS and other stuff, and you're able to make it responsive easy without any writing code or just using some stuff, and that's it. Yeah, and of course I don't know which place you're using, but IntelliJ IDEA is created using Java. This tool is using Java basically created. I'm not sure which IDE, which UI designer they using. Maybe they have their own, or it's really hard to say. We need to read it because it looks like the some components when you're creating new. For example, no, maybe it's updated now. Hmm. You will find some swing elements when you using this templates. Open. Yeah, it's new way show the windows. Okay, doesn't matter here now, and we starting to create project. When you have the build Gradle script, here basically you're adding some dependencies. And those dependencies basically some libraries for database connections and some images loading or any other libraries which is needed to your work. And it automatically downloads here. Basically, we're able to find some dependency in Maven repository, and here is most or popular categories. For example, I would like to use Apache Common Collections. And here you will find the versions. The newest version is 2.15, and here you'll find the build tools. For example, Maven, Gradle, SBT, Eevee, Gray, Planning, and Builder. Most popular build tools. And here you basically copy for your own build tool that collection, framework, or some library. And we adding here. And dependency management system, basically, it's not only for dependency, you're able to write the code, because here code written in Java virtual machine language, Groovy. Groovy, you're able to write the code any if you would like to write code. You will create task, my custom, basically able to write the scripts to work with project, like to run database, to print it out, to zip, to send email, to do anything like it's scripting, dependency management, project management, plugins, additions, namings, compilation, etc. Everything about the project management, about the project creation, my custom task. And here you're able to create using Groovy language, basically using Java down below, print line, hello, for example. And when you're running whole project to build Gradle script, you're running all tasks. Or you're able to run the single tasks from your project, build Gradle. And basically you printing hello. And you're able to combine in chain, like first task. This exists, or I forget the syntax. Oh, task do first, for example, or task depends on something, and you're able to write any type of scripts. And there is also Gradle documentation, which is writing a lot of other stuff. You're able to create some classes for Gradle tasks and etc. And if we click in println, we see some code. As you see code here, we using basically the Java syntax. Groovy language used Java syntax to print line something. Basically, that JVM language is how it works. And instead Groovy now maybe it's Kotlin age, but Kotlin age not by default using, it's still Groovy language, but you're able to use the Kotlin language also for Gradle scripts. And when you understand what to do here, basically we're using for dependencies. And when you're adding some dependency, they automatically download all stuff you needed. If you commented here this one part and refreshing here, it should remove your GUnit here. GUnit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If we run it again, we should get more. As you see here, we get some dependency, common collections, and automatically a lot of libraries added here. And they download all chained dependencies. And if you're updating the version, you're just updating the number here. You don't need to download new version, it automatically downloads this version. Here is basically that's how it works. And now when we're talking about the product service and Amazon or any other, when you have some items, you have some descriptions and you have some ratings, comments, or some stuff. And for our case, we need to create product service, discount, info, review service, for example. If your approach without Threads API, without any async programming or async technologies, you face some problems, but you're implementing your app like that way. We first creating the class, which is our goal, for example, product service. And in our product service, we implementing main function. to run that app. Okay, we have our product service. But nowadays we working in microservices or in splitted, not monolithic app. Like splitted to different servers, different APIs, different endpoints. Doesn't matter. We working from we getting data from somewhere. And for example, if we have our product, class product, basically we have in Amazon, for example, have some ID for our product. Private string ID. Basically, it means that here is our product ID, and then we creating our exhibit info, or for example now product info and rating. Private product info. Oh, sorry. We're creating new classes. Product info. Product info represents how looks like your product info, because we're thinking that our product info comes from other endpoint or server or from other team which has implemented product info. And we also creating product rating. When you're creating those, we need to create those classes. And IntelliJ IDEA, you're able to create Alt-Enter, create class. Destination package, maybe the same. Here we go to the product. We're creating also in same package product rating class. We have product info, product rating, product service, product. And basically in Java, if you need getters or setters, you need to create those getters and constructor. And for our case, maybe I adding some library to show it how it works. You don't need to write that many fields like alt insert. I will show you. Constructor, alt insert getters, and alt insert toString. And as you see, when you generating that constructor to create objects, getters to get those properties, and toString to show that information. Instead of this, in Java, of course, there is implemented Lombok library. Because we have the system, we should use some stuff. Project Lombok. And here we find our Gradle link. And when you added product Lombok, we need to add to build Gradle our dependency. And when you add a dependency, it could not find provide compile. Maybe it's wrong one. Maven plugin. Maybe it's wrong one. Maybe I will find Lombok, Java, Gradle. Gradle without plugin. Okay, we try to make this. And now should work. And after this, of course, if using the annotation processor, you need to go to search annotation processor enable. In Java exists some annotation processor which helps to generate code or do some stuff. And I show only for that reason that you see a lot of boilerplate here. Instead of that many lines, you're able to use annotations in Java, and Lombok helps to reduce the boilerplate. You're able to write data, and you're able to write more stuff like all args constructor. All args constructor generates all args constructor. Data generates getters and setters for your properties. Basically, when you're creating product like this, those two annotations, we see the difference. What's happening here? Product, new product. And as you see here, we got constructor where we're able to add ID, product info, new product rating. I think that it's easier to write two annotations here instead of writing a lot of boilerplate. And here basically you get, as you see, get ID, get info rating, and all those methods is generated automatically. Set ID, etc. Of course, you're able to control. If you don't want to use setters, you're able to ignore those setters generation. Just in case I showed this library, if you would like to use it. Sometimes it's easier to work with that. And instead of 30 lines, you will get 3 lines only. And okay, we created our product, and now we need to create our services. Instead of placing in the same place everything, we just creating new package service. And here you should create your package domain or model for our product stuff. Product info, product rating. You're able to choose the different name. Maybe it's model. It's like domain also. Product service main. Service is our services. Those services will be some network calls, or we just making not network calls, but just some methods. Like it mimics like here is a server like calls. And we creating our product info service. And we also create product info, product rating service. Okay. And when you would like to create some methods, you're creating public, and we returning some stuff. Product info, we returning product info. Product info, we returning retrieve product info. Okay, we retrieving product info. Now we need to think what is product info, and in product info we have some options, and for that reason we need to create some options. Yeah, we go to our product info and we creating our info ID first, string ID. ID is for our product because we have a separate service, and how to get the correct information for our product, we need some ID. Basically, we have product ID and product info ID. If the same, you will get the same info for your ID. And now, instead of a lot of boilerplate, I will show you what we created. For example, private string image URL, private string title, private string image title description, private double, for example, price. Oh no, here it's too much fields here. Instead of that, I think we creating options. Java class options or product. Also, it's better product option. Product option, because sometimes you're able to pick red color, black color, and some option. And instead of this, we're creating a product option, and inside our product info, we're creating private list product option list. Yeah, we have our product option list in product info. And product info is image, title, description, price, because we able to have more properties. It's easier to make that work. And if we not use the Lombok, we should create a lot of stuff. Alt insert, constructor, alt insert, getters, for example. Oh, getter. And as you see, a lot of code we need to add it's useless code. For example, or a lot of boilerplate. Instead of this, you're able to use add data from Lombok and add all args constructor. And here we're able to also to create the builder pattern if you need it. Builder is really great stuff when you doesn't need the constructor positions, like when you're creating like stuff. And maybe I'm not adding here, but you're able to use it when using Lombok library. It helps a lot. It's really great library, and it's used in production code also. And yeah, we have reduced boilerplate, we have product option, we have product info. In product info, we able set option, set get to string. Okay, I'm not sure we need constructor with any parameters. Maybe we don't need any parameters for constructor. We're able to use also lombok at data at that's it, I think. And at no args constructor. And basically we're creating our Java class. Product info class. Product info. Basically, we created, able to create and able to get product option list. Okay, product info list. It also is okay here. And now we go to the rating. Product rating, we able to create, I don't know, just private and stars maybe, and private int or double number, or not number, or rating stars and rating, for example. Of course, able to create an image or some stuff, but instead of this we creating like two properties, and later you display in UI, for example. And now we need to also create getters or some stuff. Instead of writing get methods, I use the lombok. And when we creating the stars, we need all args constructor. And basically we have implemented our product rating. And now I need to look a bit. We have options, we have info, and we need the services and info service and rating service. And here, that's it. Okay. We go to our info service. And there is two approaches how to create info service. And for retrieve info, we need to pass it some ID, because we need to load some, for example, from API or from some place our information for product. And to either understand how it works without the network connection at the moment, later maybe I will add some network connection to create some services, real services to use it to read it from web browser. I using some sleep function, and after this we try to change some sleep timers. And now we need to create the option list. And how to create a list of options? We creating list of product option. Java util product options equals, we able to add here list of, And here we're able to create the options to our list. And basically we just creating new product option, image URL address, some image, product, image. We see some product image. Okay, just copy image address. Oh, it's not that. I need real image. Maybe it should works. Yeah, we adding the first parameter as image. Second, the title is computer description. Maybe I'm just hitting enter to see how it looks like. Computer is personal computer. Price is 2025. We created our option for product options, and we able to make it more options. Basically we have the same stuff. We need other images. Just open here and try to copy image address. Okay, we try to add it second one. Images and splash. Maybe it should work, I'm not sure. We have some product info and we have the list of products. And now, of course, we need to return our product info. Product info equals new product info. And product info set ID will be ID. And now we able to edit product info set option list, set list, and we adding list to our product info. Not sure now it was some IDs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we just passing this product options. And after we making this object, we just returning our product info. Basically here we just make some retrieve product info by ID. Of course, when you're passing here, we not use that ID. We just use to set ID, but basically able to use that ID to call, for example, REST call or network call. To use this ID to retrieve product info and return some data from network. Now it's like demo app, and we requesting not from network. And creating that product info, which is returning when we using the product info service. And basically it later next lecture we will see how to work with network call in the same app. Doesn't matter really. we just returning some data using the network call instead of basically here able to use network call, or to do any operation like instead of creating some list and passing this list. You're passing ID and you're getting product info with some product options, for example. And here basically the product info service usage is to get some information from some external sources. Product rating service, basically we do the same stuff. We creating our public product rating object and retrieve product rating. Retrieve product rating, we need to pass the also ID, because we need that ID which is connect to concrete object. And now we just need to return new product rating, which is star. For example, 4 stars or 3.8 and 3.8. Of course, as we see, is oh, it's 4, for example. Yeah, it's different types. Basically, we don't need for rating and stars and rating. We're able to use, maybe it's only the single parameter like rating and then make it stars and rating also. But here it's just an example. When you have some different service which returning product rating. First service return the product option. Product info service return product option list and shows some information. Product rating service returns rating and count stars and rating by ID. Of course, that ID, as you see, it's not used at the moment. Basically, we have POJOs here, product object, product info, product option, and product rating. I use Lombok to easier to write the code because you need only 2 lines instead of 10 lines or 20 lines. Boilerplate. And if you're not using it, not generates those useless getters and setters. And it helps to avoid the issues and problems with those getters and setters, for example. And now we need to move to that implementation of our main service. And now in our product service, we injecting or using our other services. We're using product or private. I just write product service. I don't know. Product service and sorry, not product info service and product rating service. We're using both services inside our app, and we need to generate constructor for our services, because I'm just creating here to understand, instead of generating using Lombok, I'm just generate constructor inside here to understand what's happening here. Basically, we injecting, or here it's injection or dependency injection technique. When you have some product service, inside that product service injected 2 other product info and product rating service. When you're creating product service, you're injecting two other dependencies. Those dependencies comes from any outside material, the network wallet, doesn't matter, or from local database or from fixed size arrays. And now basically when we have that constructor and we need to create our main product service, which is display option list and rating and everything, all information like in Amazon, as you see. We just need to create a function which is public, and this public function should return our product. And now, as we see here, we need our two services, and we need to retrieve details for our product. Retrieve details, and we passing ID. Basically, we getting retrieve details. We getting data from those injected services. Doesn't matter it's from outside or it's local storage. Now we should create both services, like product info or just service or info service maybe equals new product info service. And here we product rating service equals new product rating service. After this, you need to create our other real product service. It's a main service. Product service equals new product service, and here we're passing our product info or info, for example, and rating. We created here those two services, and inside the main service we passing those two created services. And now we need to make it work. We need to add more stuff here, and we should to create some product equals from product service. We should retrieve details. Is it correct or not now? Product service, we retrieving details. Retrieve details. Oh, sorry, I make some mistake here. I think, yeah, I need to fix a bit. I should create rating info and then return. Okay, I'm just removing here. We have retrieve product details first, and after this we need to create those two services, and like info and rating. not services, but objects of product info and product rating. Okay. For product info, we using product info, maybe it's shortcut. Product info service, retrieve product info, and we're passing ID. Product rating equals product, retrieve product rating ID. Yeah, we should first to get those two services data, and after this we should return new product. And here we passing product, ID, product info, and product rating. And now it should get some data from the outside. Basically here it's blocking stuff happening here. If the first server timeout, you will never finish second one, or just if it takes too long, you should wait another, it should wait. And basically here the main problem is blocking code. When you're using separate services, for example, from any material, doesn't matter it's from outside or somewhere. Here it's basic problem inside here, and here you need to use some threads API or some async programming, etc. But also not every time it solves, but it reduces the waiting time or blocking code too much. And here basically inside the main we just copy and paste the same code, because we need info rating service, we need that product service injected, and after this we able to retrieve product details by ID. Retrieve products by ID, we need to pass some ID. Basically this ID is now, it's who cares, any of ID, like ID equals a, for example, some ID. Is not realistic ID, but we got the product. And now if you would like to see is it working or not, we should run this code and to see the result. I will print it system out product. If we have two string method, we should see some result. Or is it running different task? Because we use custom task, we need to run whole project, not custom task. Okay, we need to find the main and run this one. And as you see here, we got product ID AF info, and product info have product option. And product option is some images to product info and etc. We basically get the product, we get the rating, and we get some product info, product list options. If you would like to see in more nicer way, we able to get, for example, get info, it will be get info product info. Oh, sorry, not get ID, get info. Get info, you're able to get, oh, it's only get ID. Or get list, oh, get list. You're able to get a list of the options. Run from the product, you're able to get list of that options, And as you see, product option returns image URL and so on. And you see description, price, title, and etc. Basically, we get that information from our server, for example. If I make some sleeps to sleep the code or to make that mimic to network call and make some sleep here, for example. Thread API have sleep function. In milliseconds, I'm able to make here 2000 milliseconds, for example. Well, sorry, maybe I make here try catch. It will be better. And try catch basically try to sleep this whole process 2 seconds. And here you're able to make also to sleep thread sleep 1000, for example. Oh, sorry, I need try catch maybe. Because we using the main thread, it says that when you're creating the programs, you're creating on the main thread. And this main thread, basically it runs here. And when you're running the code, you're also running this code of that one, which is blocking, also on main thread. And when you calling, for example, product info, it will sleep for 2 seconds. Or if you're calling product rating service, it sleeps for 1 second. But when you have two separate requests, or doesn't matter how many, basically you see that we wait around 2 seconds to finish. And if I changed in product rating service to 5 seconds, like 5000, and in main you will see basically product info service is work for 2 seconds. If I switching different order, the same stuff, and now it will be 5 seconds waiting for rating service and 2 seconds waiting for info service. And basically it takes 7 seconds. We can open a chronometer, maybe there is in calculator or not. Converter time. No, it's time, just time. Okay, we just chronometer online. Stopwatch, okay. Because I'm not implementing stopwatch now, we just basically start. Yeah, it's as you see as like 7 seconds we're waiting. And basically when we not using the threads, you're waiting network call 5 seconds, and after this you're waiting 2 seconds. It's like synchronized code or sequential code, you will wait 7 seconds. Basically, the architecture, maybe it's fine when you're starting working in Java or any language. You're creating, server, you have two services, you're just getting some info, and you just think that, this is great approach. But you see, if you have the blocking code, it gives really bad experience. and I'm not sure now. Maybe I'm able to create some frame or show some swing UI to show how it works, because you see it's too hard to create. I have some example and created basically for this to display some information. And basically for swing or for any UI libraries, by default it uses some threads. And about threading, or I will be talking next lecture, but it has some swing invoker function, which is calling some, which is creating some background thread. Instead of having an on the main to block, it has different threads, for example. And here basically I'm just rewrite the code, swing utilities, and there is swing worker also as a thread, but we use the swing utilities, invoke later, and we using in separate thread using the Java lambda expressions. Arrow, and inside here we need to create our UI. We creating new package UI, and we creating Java class product UI. Product UI extends GFrame. GFrame is a class which is drawing the Java window. And when you drawing the Java window, we need a constructor. For our case, we need to create our new constructor, which is have some private product, and we creating our constructor. Alt insert constructor, and we need the constructor. Why it's not working? UI final map. Okay. No, it's okay. It's working like this. We creating product UI constructor, which is GFrame. We extended Java window class. And now when I running our, for example, new product UI, I need to pass our product, because we get our product details, all that rating and product info service, and print it out. But I needed to run in background, like to work in UI thread instead of blocking main thread. And basically here we're able to create our image. When we need to create the list, we need some image list. And now why it's no here, that one. Okay, we're creating the private final map, which is string and which is image icon. Image icon map. Yeah, and image icon map. And we need to write more we need to get our exhibit options, but we need to get to our UI. Okay, we on our constructor should create option list, product option list, product option list equals product dot get info get list. The first one, and we need to also create our stars. Maybe we're not creating now. We're able to call using product get rating, but we're not using rating at the moment. We're just creating the simpler approach. Image map, new hash map, new hash map. We have some image map, which is holding string and image icon. And now we're able to call it the list. I'm not sure now with this property inside our constructor. Maybe we don't need this property here. We just enough to have the parameter. That's it. We passing some parameter and we just working to display some information. And for now, we just moving to the option list for, or just iter are using here for product option and product option list. We need to add to image icon map some data, put product option dot get name, get title, and here we put image icon. Then will be new image icon, new image icon. And now we should to create new URL, and here we passing our product option get image URL address. Yeah, and here of course we need to try catch or just throw that problem if some problems will face it. Okay, we just iterating that whole list from our list product option list and adding to the map. And later we need to create a glist, Java list object. And in Java list we need to place the object default equals, maybe it's glist, it's new glist. And we creating a new glist and we able to pick our map and get key to array, image icon map key set to array. That. And yeah, we just creating a Java list UI element and passing the option list from our web service, or doesn't matter, from any outside stuff. And of course we need to create some list cell renderer, glist set cell renderer, and For that purpose, we need to create a new class. And we just creating new class. Private class. Oh, maybe I need to move outside. Outside the method, we creating private class and product list cell renderer. Here is the reason why we need that class. We need, for that reason, we're using custom list because we need to add image and text. We're not able to use the default glist element to add images and text, for example. You're able to use only default text values if you need. But if you need it to make custom list, you need to create cell renderer. Extends default cell renderer. And basically, oh, sorry, we need to override some function. Or just go here, Alt Insert, Override. And here you will find a lot of stuff with the list. Get list cell renderer component. That one. And here basically we get those properties which we needed. And instead of this, we're creating glabel. Glabel equals that one. Because we're creating the label. And instead of returning simple text, we just returning label. And for that reason, you're able to override that list element using that stuff. Is it? Oh, it's okay. And here down below, you're able to return that glabel. As you see, we got generated code when we are overriding, but we just say that our super element instead of the default element will be that glabel element. And when you say that that element will be the glabel, you're able to add few properties. Glabel set icon, and you need to pass image icon. And I forget now how to get this icon. Image icon forget. Okay, we image map get value. I think that like this image icon map get value. Value basically you get from this list cell renderer. Image icon map get value, you get that object you needed from that from glist. Glist our image icon map. Basically value it's icon image icon map value. And set icon is label, glabel more properties. Set horizontal text position, glabel right. And glabel set font. We're able to create some font. Font equals new font Helvetica font bold 24, for example. Here passing font. Basically here we overrided our and created custom list item. This function is for list item, and here cell renderer you're able to use that cell renderer here, new product list cell renderer. And after this we're able to create some stuff. We're able to create G scroll pane if you need scrolling, new G scroll pane. We passing JList because we adding scroll pane to JList, and we able to prefer size. Scroll pane set prefer size equals new dimension 800 on 600, for example. And we adding, because we have JFrame already extended, we able to call add function. We adding scroll pane to our JFrame object, set default close operation, new, exit on close. Back, for some operating systems you need to use back function to fix some problems, and set relative location, and be able to make other properties here. Set visible true, and maybe here it's enough. And basically here is our UI form or list to display that some information. And here we need, of course, try catch or try catch, for example. And now, as you see, after 7 seconds it runs only that code. And here we have only the single computer. Maybe there is some problems because we doesn't have correct image URL addresses. Or I don't know why it's not working. Maybe we're adding the same image to see the difference, because here it's same. And in service we just remove that to 11 milliseconds, and here also 11 milliseconds. Oh. It shows only single instance. Product option list. Okay, here doesn't product info. We have 1, 2, 3 options. Oh, I know the problem. Because we're using the map, and map have the same property, for example ID, or doesn't matter which key is the same, it's not shows, it's only working as a set, like hash set. And now we need to look to our implementation for UI. Get title. As you see here, yeah, we go back to our product info, control back, and now we need to change our title. Computer new one, computer good one. And here basically the key, and it will be different, and it will be show 3 different computers then. And here of course reduce the time loading and to see the different results. And as you see here, of course those images really the huge ones, but you see that first image, and you see computer good one and computer other one. Of course for this displaying the smaller images, there is some methods you're able to scale down. I'm able to show it, but that method is really slow and it freezes UI sometimes because you need to wait for scaling down images. Now maybe I'm just show it how it looks like, but you're able to find the optimized version of scale of reducing the speed of scaling that image, or just to find different method to work with that. And we able to make it scaling like this. What is our cell renderer? We able to use our image scaling. Image scale image equals image icon map, get value, and we need to get image, get scaled image instance, and we passing the scaled size, for example 64, and here we need to say image scale fast. If of course it not will be that fast as we just expected, but this will be a bit faster. Here we're able to scaling the image, and after this we're able to create the image icon. Image icon equals new image icon scale image or scaled image, and instead set icon real image we scaling, and after this we passing the scaled image. This process takes a lot because you need to download first, and then you need to reduce, and after reduce you just displaying that information. Of course now it takes not so much, but depends on server how much takes that, and you basically create list with some items. Basically that's it for our today topic, and when we start adding the threads, I'm just updating this to show how it works with threads also. For your second task will be using the threads. Do you have any questions?